Okay, everybody can mute themselves besides the host. That would be appreciated. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another installment of the Purveyors of Health meetup. My name is Angelo Ieso. I'm Rhizome on the IG and other social media outlets. This week's host is going to actually be my friend Becca Stief. She's the Readings by Becca, and she's an amazing human being. So I'll let her take it away and explain a little bit about herself and today's awesome guests.
Hi, you guys. I'm so excited to be here with you all today, and it's my first time hosting a Zoom, so thank you for bearing with me. And just a little bit about myself. I am 39. I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I have some knee things. I need knee replacements. So Purium, healthy living, wellness, abundance has really helped me with my knees. And I actually had my first Reiki learning session today. So I'm also going to be on my way to being a Reiki master, but I'm going to use this to help heal myself. And I love you all so very much. And I'm honored to be here with you. And I've been a psychic my entire life. Actually, all my lifetimes I've been a healer. So I am, again, on my journey to healing myself and helping other people help heal themselves. So I'll do some readings towards the end, but for everybody. But for now, I want to go ahead and give it on over to Marcelo. He's going to do some breath work for us and guide us through some. It helps me so much, the breath work, you guys. Like, it's amazing how much it clears your energy and helps you. So I just want to thank Marcelo so much for doing this with us today and guiding us through some breath work.
Marcelo, are you there, brother?
I thought I was talking. Oh, my bad. So first,
I apologize.
no, that was me. It was muted. So I want to cleanse the air a little bit first. Let's do the same thing. If you have some sage, come on, man. Get like us, like the cool kids.
Got you. I got some Palo Santo. We got it.
Cool. So again, like last week, I want y'all to get your little hanky or tissue and get yourself into a good position. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere you can relax and just be here for the moment. I'll give y'all a minute to do that. And once you do, sit down, lay down, whatever. I invite you to just close your eyes, assess your body, like really, really pay attention to what you feel. If you're anxious, if you're a little bit nervous, if you're angry, if you're happy, we want to try to center it. You know what I'm saying? Get yourself centered. So the first breathing exercise that we're going to do is called, I call it the yes breath, but it's called the Buteco controlled pause. The goal of this is to take a breath in, normal breath, and then close your nose, plug your nose like you're going to jump into the ocean or into a pool, and then do a yes motion. And you do this for as long as you can. However long you can do it is all good. Everybody's going to be different. When you feel like you need air, like I always say, try to hold it for like 2-3 more seconds more, and then release. And then do some rapid. But that's when you're going to need the hanky, because you're going to get a lot of stuff that might fly out. So just be aware of this. Yeah, just sit in and let's get started. Everybody good? You ready? All right. So in 3, 2, 1, inhale. Hold. Now do the yes motion. Just do your yes motion. Just focus on that. Don't do it aggressively, just normal, just a yes. Say yes to life. Say yes to feeling good. Say yes to breathing correctly. There you go. This is building up all that, just that gunk that you have inside of your body. So when you release, you're gonna see that you're able to just flood in all the air, and you're able to breathe better. So when you feel like you can't breathe anymore, let go and breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the nose, breathe in through the nose. Feel that. Feel what's happening. Feel your body. Move around a little bit. Brush yourself off. Just feel what feels good, man. And come back to center. Let's do that again. So 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Hold. Yes motion. Do the yes. Do the yes breath. And don't feel bad if you can't hold your breath longer than somebody else. We're all in our own place in life, and just do what you can. Be happy with what you're doing. Because if you're here, that's a start already. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's on their path, like Rebecca was saying, and that's what I'm doing. I'm on my path to healing myself. For the ones that don't know, I got kidney problems, and I mean, I just been through it all, the whole gamut of being experimented on, and I just I took control of my life. You know what I'm saying? For real. And I'm just trying to show people and enlighten individuals that, and tell them that you could do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be in pain or be depressed or be in those levels of hell. I mean, there are people like us, Purveyors of Health, and you are one too. So anyway, let's go. Come on, motivation. I get too motivational sometimes. Anyway. Okay, so how do you feel? I want y'all to touch in with me. How do you feel?
A lot better.
Awesome. Okay. So some of y'all familiar with this next technique. It's called the Wim Hof method. And it's pretty simple. All this is simple. You just got to work at it. So you're going to just breathe in through the nose or out through whatever. Just get the air inside. You know what I'm saying? Get the air in, motherfucker. Like the way Wim says. Anyway, so we breathe in 30 times. Some examples. So you want to try to get as much air into the system as you can. On the last breath, exhale all the air out and hold. Hold for as long as you can. A little thing that I like to do while I hold for those 1 or 2 minutes is that I pump the perineum, the sexual organs, the gland down there, just to make you stronger. So while you're holding the breath, just pump, you know what I'm saying? And you'll see you'll get stronger doing that. After you can't hold anymore, just take a simple breath in and hold for 15 seconds. If you can hold longer, cool. All right? So we're gonna do that 2 times. Okay. 3, 2, 1, in. it 10 more times. Five more times. Fully in. All the way in. Release. Release. Hold. Just hold your breath. Focus. If you can, pump the sexual organs. Just make everything in the body stronger. And this is how you do that. Just hold for as long as you can. Whatever you do is great. Like my friend Tanto says, be the light. This is one of the ways to get in touch with the light. I've experienced darkness. A lot of us have. Pretty much, I think everybody in this call has experienced darkness, and we know where we've been, we know where we're at, we know where we're going. So just keep breathing. Now, when you feel like you can't hold it any longer, take a big breath in. Just take all that prana. It's abundant. It's never endless. It's endless. You know what I'm saying? It's never ending. So just take as much as you want and hold. When you hold for that last little bit, instead of pumping, squeeze down there. Squeeze and push the energy into the third eye. That in the pineal gland, that's where we want to go to. After you've completed that, let's just wait for anybody else that's probably still in the zone. Let them feel the love. You know what I mean? So let them chill. Get back to center. Take some normal breaths in and out. You know, feel yourself, feel your body. Go back to assessing yourself. And we're gonna do that again. Give y'all one more second. Okay, let's do it. Again, 30 breaths, hold, in, hold. Simple. Okay? 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Release. Fifteen more. Ten more. Five more. Fully in. All the way in. Release. All the way in, all the way in. Last one, release. Let it go. Get it out. Hold. Just hold. Any lightheadedness, tingling sensations, or warmth, if you feel your temperature rising, those are just symptoms of all the energy multiplying in your body. We've raised the pH levels, and we've nearly, if not completely, reduced the acidic levels in the body. You are alkaline. For the people that don't know, this is actually making a difference on the cellular level, physically changing the DNA structure. If you were to look at your blood in a microscope, you would actually see your blood look like snowflakes. Just amazing, beautiful, geometrical. And that's what you are, beautiful. Pay attention to your pains, any aches. Focus the energy there. Focus the prana, the mana, the han, the Holy Spirit. Focus it there. And heal. Heal little things, you know what I'm saying? Emotions. Recover. When you can't breathe, when you feel like you need to breathe fully in, and hold it, keep it. Squeeze the air into the brain. This is your truth. I found out through all of the training and all of the research and applying that this is what works for so many different ailments, you know. Again, I used to be on antidepressants, benzos for anxiety. Doctors put me on benzos when I was 13 years old after I had my transplant and it failed. Long story, next time. And I was on pain medicine, all that stuff. But along with my diet, breathing, meditating, all these little things put together, that's how I was able to break free from that. But breath, when I really think about it, breath is life. It was the key to all this, you know? Because when you see different aspects of the world or different people talk about things, it could be from different areas in life, from religion to martial arts to spiritual. Breath is always the main one, so it's important. That's it for me, man. Much love. I hope this calmed y'all down and got you ready for this amazing guest that we have on, and I'm excited, so much love. Till next time.
Thank you so much, Marcelo. We appreciate you so much. I feel a million times better personally, and I know you all do too. Next up, we've got Mark Minardo, and he is going to talk to us about produce and some other things that he's doing. He's going to say it so much better than I ever could, so I'm just going to go ahead and give it to him. Mark, I'm trying.
All right, no problem. I have no problem. You can hear me all? You all can hear me?
Loud and clear, brother.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate it. You know, for you guys that don't know me, I'm Mark Minardo. I live here in Mesa in Phoenix, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix, about 10 minutes. And to give you a little background, I was basically born into the produce business. My father always taught me I was born in the strawberry field. But to give you a little background, my great-grandfather used to run a winery in Sicily outside of Palermo, a winery for that and tomatoes. And when my grandfather was born and my grandmother, they all worked together, were very close family friends. And so they don't really see this much anymore, but actually they were a matched marriage. And for really you guys don't know what that means, it's both sides of parents are saying this is the person you're going to marry. So when my grandfather was 13 years old, they were both shipped on a boat and came to America for a better life because things weren't working out there in Sicily. So my grandfather didn't know the language, and all he knew was produce. And so they ended up in Chicago, right out there by South Bend in Gary, Indiana. Right, it's about 40, 50 miles from Chicago. Didn't know what to do. So basically how he started in produce, little background is he would steal.
Okay, I'm going to get food, so.
You okay?
Yeah, please make sure that you mute your mic. We're all good, Mark. Keep going, brother.
Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. I don't know if it's me or not, but so anyway, so he would steal produce and stuff and made like basically a wooden shopping cart and go around and sell, apples for, 2 to 3 cents a pop, whatever he could get. And that's how he grew. And by the time he was into the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, he was one of the biggest purveyors of fruit up there. And then my father was born, and my grandfather wasn't, he never met him. I just heard stories. He died before I was born. So he was very strict, very old school, told it like it was. And if you didn't care, he didn't care about your feelings. So him and my father's kind of butt heads. But my father ended up moving out, was drafted into the military to the Korean War. And then when he came back, he married his high school sweetheart and moved out here to Yuma, Arizona, which is I'm from, which is, for you guys don't know, Yuma is right on the border of the southwest of California and Arizona, way down there. And it's about 2 miles from the California border before you go to El Centro in San Diego. And so this is what I learned. I'm not putting a little disclaimer here. I'm not here trying to bash any major companies or produce companies. I'm just trying to explain what I saw, what I've grown up to, what I've learned. And then I'll go ahead and flip this around and explain a little bit more detail. For some of you guys don't know, I do have some certifications, and I do have to up them though. I haven't recertified. So one of them is called HACCP, which means Hazard Analyst Critical Control Point. And basically that's a food safety program to learn the best way and to process food the way people are supposed to clean their warehouse and clean their hands in the bathroom and sanitary, and make sure all the temperatures are in, in the right things, and make sure when they come off the truck, they're in temperature, because you have a cold chain that comes down. So the things that I look for when I do inspections is the four major things we look for is biological, chemical, physical, and allergenic. And those are the things that we test for and then we look for in foods that come in here. But part of the problem, some of this stuff does arise. We can't quite control it, but we should be able to do, because right now, the agriculture of produce and cattle and everything is the major culprit of dirty water in our systems in the United States. There's over 180,000 miles of rivers and streams, and it all gets sucked into there for water. And to talk about the water, there was a bill passed when the Obama administration was in, to Clean Our Water Act, and they wanted to make sure that every agriculture had to test for water, for pathogens, E. coli, bacteria, metals, chemicals, and everything. So what they did is they were going to test 30 chemicals, but there's actually quite a bit more. There are actually about 30,000 chemicals that need to be tested, but for cost and labor-wise and time-wise, they only test 30. So basically, we're kind of out of luck here for the rest of 30,000 pathogens and all that stuff that come into our waters. So to explain, I drew a little map, so I want to apologize to Bree for my drawings are not as good as hers, so please forgive me. So for you guys don't know, here's my laser pointer. So I drew a map here. So Colorado River is the main source of water for Arizona, Southern California, New Mexico, Utah, and Nevada. So as the snow comes in the wintertime, the water comes all the way down here, which separates California and Arizona down here. So Yuma is right here on the border, if you can see that, where the laser pointer is. So Yuma, during the winter months, which will start probably late October, November, and go to about April, right around Easter, mid-April, will produce 100% of the lettuce which has been eaten in the United States. So this little town of probably about 150,000 is huge in agriculture. And so what happens when they water test, and what I've seen, they're supposed to test pretty much daily when the water comes in. So there's a bunch of canals that they bring the water through as they do irrigation for the crops. So what happens is usually they do it right before they seed and they test the water for all these things, and it comes out okay. But as they progress, no one really tests for like a couple weeks or a couple months until the harvest starts coming, the lettuce starts growing. And by that time, you don't know what was in the water, so it gets into our crops. So part of this thing, I'll back up here just a little bit. For whoever you guys don't know, there's a city up here in Colorado called Fort Morgan. And for you guys that don't know, there's a company called Car Skills. Don't know if you guys understand who that is, but they know who you guys are. They produce about 80% of the beef market here in the United States. So I've driven by there because my uncle was a refrigeration. He's an ammonia specialist for refrigeration. An ammonia specialist does those huge cold warehouses where you could probably park 100 semis in. I mean, they're massive. So part of the problem is all the chemicals they use and bacteria there in Fort Morgan, and bacteria from feces and sickness and disease. And then, a few years ago, we had that mad cow disease come up. What happens is all that stuff seeps into groundwater. And when that seeps into, they have these holding tanks called wastewater tanks. And eventually they start leaking, and they leak into the groundwater and eventually make it to the Colorado River. And what happens is all that junk and all those nasty things that we don't want to eat end up floating down the river. And some of it gets filtered out down the winter, but the water's kind of getting so polluted right now, you can't really test for all these new things that come in. And this is why people are getting sick. And the problem with the lettuce is you guys eat it raw. And so that's why we don't digest it very well. That's where a lot of that bacteria comes from. Because I don't know if you guys were familiar, last season, they had that big E. coli breakout with romaine and then spinach the year before. And then they had the same thing with cantaloupe coming up. And for those, I'll give you a little warning for cantaloupe. If you guys cut cantaloupe and leave it out in hot air and don't put it right away, that's probably the highest thing for bacteria. So just be careful because melon season's coming up. So making that said, as these guys harvest here with the lettuce and stuff, there's a couple things I want to go over that no one ever really talks about. One of them is the cardboard they use. And so when you're out there in the fields are always about 10 degrees hotter and 10 degrees cooler at night. So when these cartons come in these flatbeds and trucks, they push the cartons over so the pickers can go out there and pick and cut the cutters first, and then the pickers come in there and start making the boxes. And the boxes, when they're over 90 degrees, they use this thing called dioxin, which is used in paper goods and stuff, which is actually a poison. And it's supposed to be a preservative to help keep it from molding and all that stuff, which is called dioxin. Same thing they do in toilet paper. The biggest thing with that is when it starts getting over 90 degrees, and same with plastic, if you ever see lettuce that's wrapped up in plastic, it starts leaching that content into your food, and into the produce and into the raw food. So, well, during the summer and the wintertime, that stuff is over 90 degrees out there, and it does get cooled down, but by that time it happened, the process is almost too late, and it's already leaked into your food. So that's why it's imperative that you guys eat organic, because they have different regulations and things are a little bit tougher on them as far as eating conventional produce. So with all that being said, right now the season has switched, and Angelo might be a little familiar with this over here. As you go up to the coast, Santa Maria and Salinas is now starting to produce the lettuce in the United States, along with celery, cauliflower, broccoli, and now they're doing some dry onions and other things, more of the staple foods. So their river, they get it from the Kalamath River up there, from the lake up there in Oregon. So the problem they're having up there in this area, this is what's leaching into this part of the food supply during the spring and summer, is that there's oil people that come up there, and they're trying to protest it right now. They want to put a pipe of oil underneath the lake, and eventually the lake, eventually all pipes will burst or break, and there's going to be some lake, so it's going to end up contaminating the lake and the water coming into our streams, and you guys are going to be eating that. And that's something that I don't think anybody wants, and I think there need to be more rules and more regulations on this. The other part of the thing is there's a blue-green algae, which is made from volcanic ash up in that area. And the blue-green algae they're having a problem with, and it's kind of like destroying some of the environment inside the lake and the rivers. And it's not great for human consumption. I know it sounds good, but when it's overgrowth, the phosphorus is so high, it becomes toxic to human and fish and livestock inside the river. So to get back to the water thing, not to bash and get into political areas, during the Trump administration, oil is becoming bigger, and oil is becoming involved in produce, which is huge money. For you guys don't know, I mean, the most billionaires that I've ever met are all in produce. I mean, they make millions per season, and then don't let the farmers think they don't have any money. They got money. But what's happening is the oils are coming in because they see the money in produce because there's not tax on it like there is on oil and stuff. So they get a hold of the administration and say they want to deregulate the water. So there is no water testing being done right now in the agricultural department right now. It's not mandatory. So it's kind of a big deal to me. You know, a lot of bigger companies are getting involved to do that because now everybody's afraid of being sued. So they want to see where the source comes down. And this is where that HACCP and all that stuff comes involved. So to protect you guys, to understand what I'm talking about, there's a sheet, all these major chains, grocery stores, restaurants and everything, and they all have it, and they have to give it to you if you ask for it. And it's usually up there by the customer service. And you'll see the book, it's yellow with red writing. And the thing is called an MSDS sheet. What that is, it's called a material supply data sheet. And that explains every chemical and every process they use on how they sanitize and use food and chemicals to clean the store and all the way through. And so
Mark, you're muted, brother.
you okay? Yeah, you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, man. Not
Awesome.
sure what
All
happened
good,
there.
brother. This is great
All right.
information. Thank you so much, by the way.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I hope I don't bore you with it because this goes on for years. You can talk about this all day. You know, this is just
great.
a very tip of the iceberg. I mean, there goes down, you know, massive amounts of.
Wow. Okay.
Why are you scared?
Yeah, it keeps muting me. I'm sorry. I'll keep the button.
You got it, baby.
So as we eat the food that are contaminated, what happens, it comes down the esophagus and the stomach. And I know you guys understand some digestion, but I'll kind of go over some few points here. As it comes down, this is what we call the second brain, which is the immune system here, which is the small intestines. So as our food comes down and gets digested and it turns into chyme and flows into our intestines, you know, I know you guys heard Seema and Raw talk about villi, but I haven't really seen them explain exactly what that is. So here's my attempt to explain what I learned and what I can teach you. So microvilli, if you ever seen that movie Finding Nemo, and there's the clownfish live in what they call an anemone. And if you see all those little tentacles are filter feeders, and they grab, you know, nutrients and shellfish or parts of fish or whatever they could find in algae, and that's what they use those little arms to catch the food into themselves to help get nutrition. So that's kind of the same thing as we do. So if I can see this here duster, just bear with me here. So all these little arms would be considered villi. The ones underneath it would be microvilli. So what happens with the villi, they're the filter feeders. They bring it down to the microvilli, and they process it into the enzymes and proteins that we need that are all broken down after it's digested. So what they do is, if you can imagine, bear with me, if you can imagine this microvilli, if you can imagine like a road map, you know, from LA or New York or Chicago, those big things, what they do is they supply those little maps to the arteries, to our organs. They bring the nutrients to the organs. They bring the nutrients to our muscles, to the brain, everywhere those need to go. And what happens is when we start eating these types of food that are not clean and organic, the microvilli will swell up and hold it for you. And this is what happens. So it goes to your fat cells. As it goes to your fat cells, your body doesn't know what to do with it. So eventually the small intestines is like, well, hey, I need some help here. And it will literally dig a hole into the intestinal wall and push it out and, you know, contact the liver and contact the kidneys like, hey, can you guys help me out to digest this? So the liver doesn't know what to do with it. The kidneys can't filter it out because it's a fat cell that hasn't been properly digested. It's too big for them to push through the kidneys. So it ends up in the bloodstream. So as it ends up in the bloodstream, it goes through your veins, your capillaries, your arteries. And the capillaries are the small ones. And when that fat tries to go in there, that's where inflammation starts coming in the joints. And then all of a sudden, you know, you start getting headaches, nausea, forgetfulness, you have memory loss, then autoimmune disease starts kicking in. Alzheimer's can kick in. There's a bunch of things that can come and kick in that we all don't want. And like arthritis is a big one. And oh, I'm sorry, I forgot what I said. Okay, so arthritis and so this is what we call a leaky gut when they have those in the intestinal walls, all these little holes in there. And so the one thing I'm grateful for, what I've learned, you know, and I hope, you know, everybody here, that we can get everybody in the world to do the same thing. These are things I learned. Oh, I'm sorry. I should back up a little bit. This is what I was going to talk about. Excuse me a second. So when they spray for crops, there's 5 to 7 major things that they spray for crops with. It's herbicide, a fertilizer, a pesticide, insecticide, a rodenticide, and I forgot, and a bacterial inside. And so those are the same things that and a weed one, which is the herbicide. And the biggest thing that is the culprit is the herbicide, which is Roundup from Monsanto. So as you can see, what's in their ingredients, and the main one is glyphosate, which I know you guys know, there's about 7 of them. They got acetic acid, I can't pronounce them all, cliladim, and these are all part of the chlorine family, as some sort of thing. And you have metal, sodium, you have perlic acid, certain, and then the big one, the glyphosate. So our bodies are not used to handling this type of stuff. So the best thing to do is go organic. So what I learned before I got into Purium, not trying to promote it, but this is what I do. And I'll show you what I use to help me out with information. I used this company here, and I can explain if you guys ever want to try. I'm not promoting them. They're very good. They're very clean. They're very comparable to Purium. And I also have Purium, which I have the Biomedic, the Super Art Cleanse. And I'll explain what all these do. Oh, I'm sorry. All these do, and they got the Power Shake. So I don't know if you can see it all, but so I do both of them. Plus I do, you know, the Super Amino, which is pretty cool. So the intestinal #1 has habanero and a bunch of other organic things. Everything is certified and organic, and what that does is it goes into your colon, and it kind of pushes all the undigested food out, which can lead to all kinds of major problems. And you take that, and you take four a day after each meal. And as you finish a bottle, then you go on to intestinal #2, which is charcoal. And charcoal is like a blanket that goes over the microvilli, and then it sucks up all the toxins, and you end up pushing it out through waste. So I took the superfood, which is very good. I took the pellets, and you can also do the powder. But the Super Art Cleanse, the Biomedic, which I really like because it does take out the glyphosate out of the muscles, and the Power Shake. So this is what I do personally. But if you guys ever need any help or anything, I'm always here to help out. And I think that's kind of about it. I don't want to bore you guys anymore, man. So I can turn it over to you guys if that's okay.
Man, you could go for hours, brother. I love that.
Awesome.
Like, yeah.
Is that okay?
All day. I could listen to you talk all day.
Yeah, I want to talk
Okay.
with you, but this is not supposed to be for conversation, so we'll talk after. But you know what I'm saying? Let's keep it
Oh,
flowing.
well, this is just, I appreciate it, man, because most people get burnt out, especially my kids. They get tired of me here talking about it. But, you know, it's boring to them, but I kind of get into it. I'm sorry being a nerd, but
Don't apologize, man.
Yes, I was about to say that. Yeah.
We're health junkies, man. We love it.
okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Mark. You're awesome, man. Appreciate you,
Oh,
brother.
I thank you. I appreciate it, man. So
Thank
I know we
you.
have our.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, much love. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Next up, I want to give it over to Julie Brar, and I do have to announce on here on our flyer, we at her wrong. We put J Brar, but it's really Julie Brar. So if anyone's not already following Julie, you need to be. I will always support Julie. She is amazing. She's an award-winning health coach and nutritionalist. She holds a certification in plant-based nutrition from Cornell. Julie is also a co-host of a health podcast and is a published author and yoga teacher, and she holds multiple certifications in health coaching, nutrition, and yoga. And I just am so excited to have her on, and I want her to just talk about anything in the world she wants to talk about, because she is a wealth of knowledge and she is so supportive. This woman checks in on me when I don't even know how she knows, but she's like, hey, are you okay? I'm here. She's brilliant. So please take it away, Julie.
Okay. Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's everybody? Well, just give me a thumbs up. Awesome. I always want to be mindful of time. So how long do I have just to?
Honestly, you can have as long as you want. I was thinking at least like 20, 25. I mean, you can have as much time as you want, honestly, and we will be according to that.
Okay. So we'll see where it goes. I'm going to be piggybacking a little bit off of Mark's talk. So I started out in LA as an actor / yoga teacher. Typical. I know, it's so cliche. And I ended up moving back to Canada and continued on with acting and teaching, and then decided, it was really sort of a tragedy that caused me to shift gears into nutrition. And because I was struggling with my own health, I ended up going back to school for coaching and for nutrition. And I've discovered a lot of what Mark was talking about in terms of what is going on in the food supply and how vigilant we have to be about what we're putting into our bodies. And sorry, I'm just going to mute that person. Awesome. And really so much, like, I've been paying such close attention to everything that's been going on since the start of this whole COVID thing. And, how few people who are in the public eye in terms of the government are talking, and the government in the US and the government here in Canada, nobody's talking about how to take care of yourself. No one's talking about the importance of nutrition and movement and stress management and sleep and gut health. Like, I talk about it. The doctors that I follow who are plant-based doctors talk about it. But outside of that, in mainstream medicine, and especially the doctors who are advising, say, the president, or here in Canada, the prime minister, nobody's talking about it. And so, it to me makes our mission collectively that much bigger and that much more important, to keep pushing that message out there that when you change what you're putting into your body transforms on a cellular level. And it's irrelevant how many viruses are out there, because your immune system should be strong enough to handle them, right? Like, I'm sure you guys give me a hands up, how many people listen to Dave Sandoval's talks? Yeah, most of us do, right? So you guys are hearing the same information that I'm hearing. But even beyond that, like stuff that I studied at Cornell and things that because I have multiple nutrition certifications, and it's the same information over and over and over again. But I think, like, to me, what wasn't talked about, say, 10 years ago, and what is becoming more and more prominent in the media is, like, in terms of, like, alternative or plant-based doctors are talking about the importance of gut health. And really, the gut, it's all about the gut. All disease begins in the gut, and therefore you can cure pretty much everything that's going on out there by really focusing in on sort of two key components. One is, how are you nourishing your body, and how are you detoxifying your body? There's no way at this point in time in our human evolution to ignore either piece right now. So someone could have brilliant nutrition, but if they're not detoxifying their body on a daily basis, then that nutrition isn't getting into their cells, right? And so it's important to have both in conjunction. And this is really the brilliance of the ultimate lifestyle transformation, is the fact that we are addressing both things at the same time, which a lot of people aren't understanding why it's important. Like, I'm talking about people outside of the Purium circle, or even a lot of, say, plant-based doctors that I know are focused a lot on the nutrition piece, and they don't necessarily nutrition piece in terms of how we're nourishing our gut, but they're not really talking about that detoxification piece. Like, we are exposed to far too many chemicals on a daily basis. Like, there's glyphosate, there are dioxins, there are chemicals that are endocrine disruptors and neurotoxins and all kinds of, and here's the crazy thing, right? There is no scientific study. We are in the middle of a science experiment right now, but there is no scientific study that looks at what happens when you put all these toxins together in one human organism, and it lives in their gut from the time they're in utero for decades and decades and decades. And then we see, obviously, various autoimmune conditions, whether it's food allergies, whether it's skin stuff, whatever it is, it's all related to the same thing, which is that toxic buildup in the body, in the gut. And so it's important to kind of go back to basics. And before I was doing nutrition, I didn't want to spend the extra money on organic food, right? Because it costs more money. However, there are multiple good things that are happening, which is the cost of organic produce is coming down. And I think in America and Canada, we face the same issue, which is the agriculture subsidies need to be stripped away from meat and dairy, because that's exactly the wrong place for them to be. They should be in organic produce and really looking at what is creating health in the human population and what isn't. And so going back to COVID, the reason that COVID is such a problem is in America, 88% of the population has some kind of chronic health condition, which means their immune system is completely compromised. And so that sets them up for a potential of infection. That's why it's disturbing. It's 88%. And so, someone like me, I was traveling in January, February, and March. I was in multiple airports. You want to know why I wasn't scared of any virus and I knew it was going around? I wasn't scared because I know I take incredible care of my health. I take care of my freaking health like it is my job. And it's a job that I'm very happy to do. It's not a burden, it's a blessing to be able to do that and to have the means to do that. I understand that it's not possible for everybody, which is what, sometimes has smoke coming out of my ears. Like, I'm lobbying the government here. We're in the same position that Americans are in, where we're seeing billions of dollars going to fund animal agriculture, the very industries that actually create pandemics, antibiotic resistance, and help the population to get sick. Where does all the GMO corn and soy end up? Animal agriculture. Mostly animals eat that stuff, and most animals, like most of the antibiotics, actually also gets fed to factory farmed animals to keep them alive long enough so that they can be killed. And then whoever is eating that cheap quality meat gets the GMO corn and soy along with the antibiotics. And so, along with also any potential pathogen, right? And so, by rewarding those two industries with taxpayer dollars, it's exactly backwards. Those dollars need to be going to industries that are a part of the solution. And I would say probably the best place to land those funds are in organic. Yeah, they've eaten. Sorry. Okay. Michael, you want to say hi? This is the Becca and her crew.
Hello. Oh, hey.
The Purveyors of Health. What's up, Michael? It's Marcelo.
Hi guys, hey, nice to see all you guys. Hey,
That's
congratulations
Bronzo
on all
here.
the ranking, you guys. Fabulous work, everybody.
Much
Very
love.
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I
Love, Michael,
hit myself.
all right, all right, all right.
Okay, go for it. So it's a little crazy around here. So yeah, because of what I do, I'm involved in organizations that are trying to change the funding structure, the tax credits that are going to which industries are they going to, so that we're actually looking at funding solutions rather than continuing to fund problems, because both countries, America and Canada, are in a collision course heading to a bankrupt medical system, because we can't afford to have 88% of the population with chronic illnesses. Like it's unsustainable, right? So then what can one individual do, right? It goes back to how we're choosing to fuel our body. For sure, like sticking with organic foods as much as humanly possible. That's one of the ways that we circumvent and protect ourselves when it comes to our health. The other thing also is like, coincidentally, foods that are good for gut health also happen to be foods that are more alkaline. And then the foods that are more problematic for health also tend to be problematic for the gut. And they tend to be acidic. And so I'm sure you guys have heard that disease cannot exist in an alkaline environment. So the foods that are very acidic are meat, dairy, processed foods, processed sugar, alcohol, caffeine, eggs, coffee, if anyone's still on coffee. And so those are the things that are more acidic, right? And so when we're looking at making changes in our health and making changes that are going to help our body to get stronger, we want to be putting in more plant foods in order to help bring our body more to an alkaline state. And that coincidentally also happens to help our gut health at the same time, right? It feeds those good bacteria in the gut. Now, a lot of people, especially if someone's gone through a round of antibiotics, I have people say to me all the time, well, I'm just going to load up on probiotics. It actually takes longer to rebuild your gut microbiome if you're trying to do it through probiotics rather than dietary change. So if you're looking at wanting to strengthen your gut, you're actually better off sticking to like vegetables, lentils, beans, those kinds of things. And if your system isn't quite like, I think you guys are probably more health conscious than the average bear, but like usually a lot of people will come to me and they're like, well, my system can't handle lentils and beans. And it's like, well, it's because your gut microbiome isn't used to it yet. So you have to like start small, start with like, a quarter cup, see how your body handles it. And then as your gut microbiome adjusts, then you can have more, right? Same thing with like, in terms of sticking with that whole idea of alkaline foods, you're doing, fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, and veggies, right? The thing that people don't like the most, leafy green veggies, are actually the best thing for your gut, and actually also tends to be the best thing for your heart. One of my teachers, Dr. Esselstyn, who worked for a long time out of the Cleveland Clinic, and he's been in tons of documentaries and stuff. He's like, you want to be having leafy greens every single meal, right? So the cool thing about the Purium products is for the people who are not so much into greens, like leafy greens and getting in their greens, like you can do the power shake. The power shake is equivalent to 6 veggie servings, right? And I tell everyone you want to be having like 9 to 12 servings of vegetables a day. So you get a couple of power shakes in you and you're good, right? And then, so sticking with organic, sticking with mostly plant foods. The thing with like, I get into conversations with people about meat, and what if you are going out and finding organic, grass-fed and all of that, it may be organic and grass-fed, but you still have other things within meat that are problematic, which is saturated fat, cholesterol, heme iron. Those are things that you don't want to be overdoing. If anyone is still on meat, you want to be doing tons and tons and tons of plants. And so for the populations that are the longest lived on the planet, they tend to have a diet that is like 90% plant-based, right? And so it's mostly plants, and meat is a very occasional thing. And that's why there's like a big shift that has to happen in the North American eating patterns, where so much of the population is doing meat like 3 times a day, eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of processed carbs and processed sugars and sodas and all of that stuff that is so like high in calories but completely lacking in nutrient density. Anytime we're thinking about how to fuel our body, we're always looking at finding higher nutrient density and lower calories. And what's higher in nutrient density and low in calories? Plants. Plants are loaded with nutrients, but not so high in calories. And now the cool thing about, say, the Power Shake or any of the green drinks, because I do the barley, we do chlorella, chlorophyll, like we do all of the green drinks. And because it's not in like in you know, in its whole format, it's you know, dehydrated, you add water and you drink it and it goes straight to your cells. So there's like, you're getting as much nutrient content out of it as possible. Versus like, I mean, for someone to be getting as much nutrition as is present in some of the Purium products, like you would literally be sitting all day and stuffing your face with leafy greens. Like that's the only way to really do it otherwise. And eventually, go ahead, have some liquid sunshine. Eventually your stomach wouldn't be able to handle it because there's also the fiber, and there's too much fiber. There's such a thing as too much fiber. You just want the right amount of fiber. And so sticking with organics, sticking with mostly plants, thinking of like, how is a food alkaline or more acidic? And you want to stick to foods that are more alkaline, because that's just ultimately what is better for your body in terms of health, better for your gut. So it's like you're checking off multiple things on the checklist. Now on the toxin detoxification side, quickly, so we've got Biomedic that's removing not just glyphosate, it removes other heavy metals and other toxins. And the reason that we know that it removes other toxins as well is that in that preclinical trial that we all have access to, the C-reactive protein level came down by 75%. So if there were other toxins still present, the C-reactive protein, which is an inflammation marker, it would stay elevated. So the fact that it drops means that there are other things that are being pulled out as well. Plus, okay, so I'm going to answer that question quickly. And then you're repairing the gut lining. So what Mark was talking about, leaky gut. So you're repairing the gut lining, which takes care of that issue. And then on top of that, Biomedic is also supporting the good bacteria in your gut. So someone asked, how consistently should we take Biomedic? I say every single day. And I say that because every single day we are exposed to toxins, you know? I mean, if you're living in a town, in a city, you see cars, you see planes flying overhead, you know, you are exposed to toxins. You live in a house, there's paint on your walls, who knows where your furniture was made. Like, that's why I tell everybody, like, I tell all my customers, you know, after they do a 30-day, I'm like, at the very minimum, you need to stick with the Power Shake and the Biomedic. The Power Shake, because all of the greens you're getting into your system. The Biomedic, because if you go out somewhere and you eat something that's not organic and all the stuff we're breathing in, like we're exposed to too many toxins, you need to take it every single day. And so that's usually what people stick with. The other things that I really love in the Purium line, and I do every single day, are the ionic elements. And I also do the fulvic zeolite and chlorella. And so those are kind of, again, it just has to do with like detoxification and making sure that I'm pulling out heavy metals and giving my body that extra support. And so on a personal note, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism like back in 2014, and I had been put on medication. And at the time, ionic elements, it just adds more trace elements to your diet. Okay, so I was put on medication, and it didn't actually make me feel any better. And that was when I started going down that path of nutrition and ended back up in school and changed my diet a ton and made a lot of progress with what I was experiencing. But I kind of hit a wall, I'd say summer of like last year around this time, I hit a wall. Like, no, I couldn't. I had made certain, what were those three? Oh, fulvic zeolite, ionic elements, chlorella. So those are the ones that I take. So anyway, I kind of hit a wall about a year ago. There were no more changes that I could make to my diet because I was 100% plant-based. I was eating a lot of organic foods, and I was taking really good care of myself. Like, I exercise, I sleep, I do yoga, I meditate every single day. I was doing all of the things. And then I had started researching glyphosate and went down this whole glyphosate rabbit hole and was looking for a solution of what do you do about glyphosate. And that was how I stumbled into, Michael found Purium, and I was willing to listen because of Biomedic. I wanted to hear about this whole Biomedic thing. And so we ended up doing the 40-day last August. And I was really curious, like, would this help my autoimmune condition, which is what hypothyroidism is. And so we started on the Purium products. And after our 40-day ended, we stayed with it. And what happened is that a couple of things happened. I was trying to kick caffeine, and I got off coffee for good. And we were occasional wine drinkers, and I stopped drinking, not because I had to, but just because. But then at the end of January this year, I was completely off my thyroid medication. And that's how I know this shit works. My doctor was not so happy about it. She was like trying to get me to go back on because anytime you come off medication, your body takes time to adjust. My levels were normal, they spiked. And when they spiked, she was like, you need to go back on the meds, you need to double the dose. I'm like, no, I'm doing a science experiment. And so I stayed the course, redid a blood test mid-April, and the levels had normalized. And so I've stayed off the meds, and it's all thanks to really honing in on that gut health piece. And this, I talk about it just because this is such an important part of, like, sometimes people will tell me, well, I know tons of people in the vegan community, especially in the activist community, and they'll be like, well, I eat really healthy, I'm vegan. And it's like, there's a lot of unhealthy vegans out there. There's a lot of vegan junk food right now that is trending. And I guarantee you, if they're not focusing in on their gut, they're not as healthy as they think they are, right? And so all disease begins in the gut. And that's why it's so, so important to make sure that when you're speaking to people, that you really focus in on how powerful Biomedic is and how powerful this Purium line of products is, especially what we have in the Core 4 and the Ultimate. It's like the Core 4 is there as maintenance. And it's because all of us need to be vigilant about how we're taking care of our bodies on a daily basis. And the more vigilant we are, the more better we take care of ourselves, not just in terms of how we're fueling our body, but also sleeping, managing stress, doing breath work like we did today, meditation, doing movement of some kind. When you put all those elements together, your body has no choice but to be healthy. Like, It really is, like, people will always ask me, like, what's the one thing? It's like, it's not one thing. It's everything together in concert. It's like a beautiful symphony. And so that's what I have for you today. I hope that was helpful. Yes, all about integration. It is all about integration. So thank you so much.
That deserves a hand. Come on, everybody.
Yeah, seriously. We gotta
That was
put a round of
beautiful.
applause out here. 'Cause that was
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you.
Phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I loved
you.
every bit of it. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, super
Hey, you're
information.
still awake, so that's good.
Yeah, extremely information. I think so many of us join. Hey, what's up, puppy? So many of us.
Oh, the little baby.
So many of us join Purium, and we know it's better for us, and it changes the way we feel and the way we live and the way we feed ourselves. But a lot of times we don't really understand why it's making such an impact in our body, and we don't understand how valuable it really is. So yeah, thank you so much, Julie. Thank you so much, guys, for your information.
If this makes you feel any better, I get pitched products every single day. I don't represent any other product lines on purpose, and most of them, especially, like, people know that I do a lot of stuff around gut health. They hear what I'm saying on social media, and so they'll pitch me their product, and I know enough to know what I'm looking for and in terms of their research and what it actually does. And most of the time, like, there's not one product that it beats Biomedic right now. I haven't seen it.
Let's go. That's great to hear. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julie, you are a blessing. We love you. Thank you so much. I think you gave us all a lot of just a different perspective on things that will really even help us with our explaining and knowledge and teaching people. You did for me. You definitely gave me an angle that I wasn't. So thank you. I love your fur babies too. We send you so much love and abundance always to you and Michael and your family, your babies, everybody always. Just thank you. And I was going to maybe pick a couple cards or pull a couple cards for you guys if that's okay. And then I'm going to let Tanto do our closing ceremony because he's so magical and his smile is just the world. So get ready for that. But if you all are ready, you all look it. Let me shuffle. I've got these oracle cards and I've been using them, and I have to read out of the book because there's so much information, but they're always spot on, and it's been really good in a group setting. So the first card I pull for us as a collective, which I guess you can't really see that very well, but it's serendipity. So that seems pretty accurate for us today, actually. Bear with me. I just have to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Serendipity, the essential meaning is an opportunity allied with readiness, the awareness of synchronicity, luck, and good fortune appearing as signs and symbols, a magical alignment of events. You stepped into alignment with the greater good, where your dreams and the collective dream resonate in exquisite harmony. Now is the time for luck and preparation to meet and create miracles that you could never have planned all by yourself. Keep in mind that you are a channel for providence right now, and a higher energy uses you as a force on behalf of the whole world. Everything you bring into being now will leave a wondrous legacy for others in the future. Your service to the world is being supported at this time. Expect the unexpected and smile, for Spirit loves you so very much. If that's not spot on for each and every one of us, I don't know what is.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm going to read all of the meanings because I learned it just resonates. The relationship part of this card. Spirit has a plan, and that plan is to place you in front of the right person at the right time. You have met or are about to meet someone vitally important to your journey, someone Spirit wants to bring into your life. Only divine forces can play this meeting, and it is out of your hands. Pay attention to the signs Spirit presents. So I hope we all sign up, all of the brand partners, and we just keep on. I hope we're given all the beautiful people that we need to help grow and help save and heal the world. Prosperity message. You are in the right place at the right time. Be grateful, for the stars are aligned in your favor and fortune is smiling on you. Victory and success are yours. The choices you have made in the past have prepared you for the opportunities now before you. This is your lucky moment. The timing is perfect. I got goosebumps all over. And this is the last little part, the protection message. Perhaps you felt almost certain that serendipitous events were meant to lead to something better. It was supposed to be the perfect business, or that person you gave your heart to was supposed to be the one, yet it all fell apart. Consider this. Sometimes synchronicity and serendipity come together to lead you directly into difficulties in order to deliver an important lesson you need to learn before you hit the jackpot. Don't get caught up in the drama of disappointment. There really is a silver lining in this cloud, and Spirit always knows what you need and is guiding you to where you are meant to go. Pay attention to the signs presented to you. So
I love that so much. Oh my God.
That's
That is
literally
so
perfect.
on point. Yeah.
Spoke to
I
all of
was
our souls.
so wanting this to be a magical thing, and I didn't even have to worry about a thing, you guys. You're so amazing. I love, love, love you.
We love you too.
Thank you.
I'm glad I joined this call so much.
Welcome,
So
brother.
it's all love, man. It really
So
is.
good.
Every week, you're always welcome.
Yeah, that's my brother Melvin, guys. Just to introduce, that's my brother Melvin. Like that's my family right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, much love.
I'm looking for you. You better come every week. Yeah, drop your Instagram, Bree.
I got you.
For sure.
And I'm going to give it to Tanto because he is a magical ray of light.
Okay. Well, I want to go ahead and say thank you. I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you for coming out. I want to say thank you for each and every single one of you for being exactly where you need to be and doing exactly what you are meant to do. You know, many things were said here, a lot of knowledge gained, a lot of wisdom shared, and that's beautiful, and that's what this journey is about. And I like ending these with gratitude always, because so long as we are grateful, we are able to truly grasp the light that is our life, and we are truly able to embody the thing that we are meant to, which is the divine, right? We are being guided by the divine in all things that we do, and all we have to do is allow ourselves to take the journey, allow ourselves to walk the path, and so long as you keep on walking on your path, you will reach the place you are meant to reach. And so the only thing that I really have to say to you all is keep on being you, keep on striving for greater, and keep on being love, for we will reunite in the place that we are meant to. Much love to all of you. May you have an absolutely blessed night. May you continue to spread your love in your way. And yeah, let's just keep being great. Much love, family.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Tanto. And I also want to let everyone know that coming up in about 10 minutes, Dave Sandoval from Purium is going to be on live, and I'm going to drop the link here in the chat if you guys are interested in checking that out.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Tanto. Marcelo.
Much love, family. Much love, guys.
You did a great
Thank
job.
you, so.
All right, peace.
Thank you.
He's
guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
We
day.
were
Much love. Thank you all.